Newspaper headlines this morning. We'll be bringing you stories from the Guardian newspaper, the Punch newspaper, and the Nation's newspaper. Now, first from the Guardian, 2026 budget delays spark fiscal spending concern, uncertainty. With the timeline of the 2026 budget still remotely uncertain, a wave of tension is sweeping through the market, including public sector systems, heightening fears that Nigeria again is consolidating in another era of unpredictable fiscal circus, hasty appropriation approvals, weak fiscal culture, and chaotic project delivery. And 6 weeks to the beginning of another fiscal year, the executive does not seem to be in a hurry to speed up the budgeting process. ASU rejects federal government's claim on paucity of funds. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, Bauchi's zone, has refuted the claim of the federal government that there is paucity of funds, which forced it not to meet the full salary demands of universities. ASU believes that it is not lack of funds, but the lack of political will and misplacement of priorities that make education suffer in the country. Accounts for missing 3 trillion naira of face lawsuits, SIRAP warns CBN. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SIRAP, has urged the Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Olayemi Cardoso, to explain promptly the whereabouts of the missing or diverted 3 trillion naira of public funds, as documented in the recently published 2022 yearly report by the Auditor General of the Federation. SIRAP said the grave allegations were documented in the latest yearly report published by the Auditor General on September 9, 2025. But the body urged him to identify those responsible for the missing or diverted public funds and hand them over to the Independent Corrupt Practices and Unrelated Offences Commission, ICPC, and Economic Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, for further investigation and prosecution. Now let's move on to the Punch newspaper. Alleged Christian genocide. U.S. Congress begins full-scale probe into Nigeria's killings. The United States House of Representatives Subcommittee on Africa will hold an open hearing on Thursday, November 20, 2025, to examine President Donald Trump's recent redesignation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern. The CPC designation, if ratified by the Senate, would allow the U.S. to impose sanctions on Nigerian officials found complicit in religious persecution and limit certain forms of bilateral assistance. NDLEA intercepts 396,000 tramadol capsules in Yola Airport. Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency intercepted 396,000 capsules of tramadol at Aliyu Mustafa International Airport, Yola, on Friday. The latest seizure comes less than a week after the agency recovered over 171,000 capsules of tramadol during separate operations in Niger, Benue, and Taraba states. DR Congo and Nigeria's 2026 World Cup dream. Nigeria's dream of reaching the 2026 World Cup in the U.S., Canada, and Mexico ended on Sunday in an agonizing 4-3 penalty shootout defeat against DR Congo in the final of the African playoff in Rabat, Morocco. The Punch reports both countries were seeking a spot at the Intercontinental Playoff after coming through the battle of the best second-placed team from the qualifying series. Now let's move on to the Vanguard newspaper. Electricity workers threaten nationwide shutdown. The nation electricity supply may face a major crisis as the National Union of Electricity Employees has threatened a nationwide shutdown following an alleged attack on the staff of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, by armed police officers at Ebu 13233 kV transmission substation in Imo State. The union, in reaction to what it described as brutal invasion, had already directed its members to halt power supply operations in Imo State until further notice. Now let's go on to the Nation's newspaper. Tinubu targets interfaith, inter-ethnic truce in Plateau. A move intended to bring about permanent peace in Plateau State has been initiated by President Bola Tinubu. The deployment of special presidential emissary to the state, which has been the epicenter of inter-ethnic and inter-religious crisis for decades, is a first step to bringing about permanent truce on the plateau. DSS disrupts arms network, arrests major supplier. Operatives of the Department of State Services, DSS, have successfully disrupted a high-target arms supply network linked to terrorist activities in Plateau and neighboring states. The nation has guarded. The operation led to the arrest of Musa Abubakar, a key arms dealer, following precise intelligence on November 12. Now let's move on to the explainer. NOA sensitizes NCO's personnel, trainees on Nigerian Identity Projects and National Value Charter. The National Orientation Agency, NOA, has carried out a comprehensive sensitization exercise for personnel and trainees of the Nigeria Correctional Service, NCOS, on the Nigerian Identity Project and National Value Charter. The engagement held on Wednesday in Kaduna was part of NOA's nationwide efforts to strengthen patriotism, promote shared values, and enhance national consciousness among Nigeria. And that's all we have for you on the Sport Headlines this morning. You can follow us across the social media handle on Facebook, Lagos Traffic Radio 961. On X, Lagos Traffic Radio 961. On Instagram, it is at Lagos Traffic Radio 961 FM. And you can also follow us across other social media handles.